Okay, so imagine for a second that someone just handed you the ultimate walkthrough to the most insanely complex open-world RPG ever created. No clear instruction manual, infinite levels, and literally every single choice you make permanently alters the map. Well, that game is life. And what if I told you that about 2,400 years ago, a lead developer, a Greek philosopher named Aristotle, actually sat down and wrote the source code for the whole thing?
Welcome to today's explainer right here on YouTube. Today, we're unpacking Aristotle's absolute masterpiece, the Nicomachean Ethics. Now look, Aristotle wasn't trying to write some boring, strict rulebook of don't do this and always do that. No, he essentially created a cheat code for human flourishing. He was obsessed with answering the ultimate question: how do you actually become the best possible version of yourself? So we're going to translate his ancient wisdom into a modern gaming framework to show you exactly how to apply his ideas to your everyday life.
All right, let's jump right in. Level 1, the ultimate life endgame.
So, every game has a final boss, right? Or a master objective. Well, Aristotle noticed that literally everything we do is aimed at some goal. You study to get good grades. You get good grades to land a solid job. You get a job to make money. But if you keep asking why, eventually you hit a wall. You reach a final goal that isn't just a stepping stone for something else. Aristotle called this highest good eudaimonia. Now, people often translate this as happiness, but honestly, that's a massive trap. To us, happiness is just a temporary dopamine hit, like eating the perfect slice of pizza or getting a text back from your crush. But eudaimonia, that's an ongoing activity. It is true human flourishing. It's the active state of playing the game of life exceptionally well by using your unique human ability, your reason.
But here is where a lot of players get completely stuck. They fall into 3 classic NPC traps, looking for eudaimonia in all the wrong places. First up is the life of pleasure, the instant gratification trap. If you spend your whole life just chasing comfort, sleeping in, or mindlessly scrolling TikTok for dopamine, Aristotle says you're basically living a life fit for farm animals, not humans. Brutal, but true. Second is the life of honor. Today, we'd totally call this the social media cloud trap. Living for likes means your self-worth is entirely controlled by other people. If they stop liking you, boom, your happiness vanishes. And third, the life of wealth, or the hoarding gold trap. Look, money is super useful, absolutely. But nobody wants digital numbers in a bank account just to stare at them. Wealth is always just a means to an end. It's never the end game itself.
Which brings us to Level 2, leveling up your character.
Once you realize the final goal isn't hoarding gold or chasing clout, but an active life of excellence, you got to figure out how to actually boost your character stats. And the crucial point here is that you are not born with maxed out virtue stats. You aren't born strictly good or bad. You're born with the capacity to be good, but you have to actually build those traits. Like Aristotle famously wrote, we become just by doing just acts, temperate by doing temperate acts, brave by doing brave acts. Basically, virtue is a habit. You don't become an elite basketball player by reading a book about basketball, right? You become great by grinding out thousands of free throws until muscle memory takes over. It's the exact same thing with kindness or courage. You literally just have to put in the reps.
And this brilliantly illustrates how we actually define those virtues with what's called the doctrine of the golden mean. Virtue is always this perfect balance point between 2 toxic extremes. You've got a deficiency on one side and an excess on the other. Take courage, for example. If you run away from absolutely every danger, well, that's cowardice. But if you foolishly run headfirst into danger, that's recklessness. The sweet spot right in the middle, that's courage. Or look at temperance, which is basically self-control. Denying yourself all joy is insensibility, but chasing every single pleasure constantly is self-indulgence. Now keep in mind, this sweet spot isn't some strict mathematical average. It's totally relative to you. 2 pounds of food is way too much for a kid, but it's probably too little for an Olympic weightlifter. You have to find your own specific balance.
All right, moving on to Level 3, mastering the social game.
Because let's face it, you aren't playing this game alone. Being a great player isn't just about making massive moral choices, it's about the everyday vibes you bring to the room. Aristotle actually gives us the ultimate guide to managing a group chat by highlighting some essential social virtues. First is mildness. The deficiency here is being a total doormat, and the excess is blowing up over every minor little accident. The virtue is getting angry at the right things, but being quick to forgive. Second, friendliness. Don't be a quarrelsome troll who just loves conflict, but also don't be a people pleaser who nods along with toxic behavior just to fit in. And finally, wit. The bore gets offended by everything and totally kills the vibe. The buffoon posts offensive memes just to get a reaction, not caring who they hurt. But the witty player, they know exactly how to drop a clever joke that brings everyone together without ever punching down.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how Aristotle breaks down our intellectual stats into two distinct types of knowledge to help us navigate these exact social waters. First, there's Sophia, or philosophical wisdom. This is knowing the deep, universal code of reality, the eternal facts, physics, math, the big picture stuff. But the second one is phronesis, or practical wisdom, and guys, this is the absolute MVP skill of daily life. You could understand all the complex game code in the world with Sophia, but if you don't have phronesis, you won't have a clue how to navigate a friendship drama, manage your time, or make split-second choices under pressure. Phronesis is essentially your internal GPS that helps you actually locate that golden mean in real time.
Next up, Level 4, Defeating the Boss, Akrasia. Even with an incredible internal GPS, every single player faces a massive obstacle. Have you ever, say, set your alarm for 6 a.m. to go work out, but when it goes off, you just smash the snooze button and sleep for another 2 hours? Yeah, me too. You knew exactly what the best choice was, but you completely did the opposite anyway. Aristotle calls this Akrasia, which translates to weakness of will or incontinence. It is the ultimate human tendency to self-sabotage.
So how do we fail the level when we know the right move? Well, Aristotle explains that our physical desires literally act like a temporary spell that puts our rational mind straight to sleep. On one side, your rational mind is super focused on eudaimonia and long-term goals. But on the other side, your physical desires totally hijack the system. In the heat of the moment, the bright screen of your phone and that instant dopamine loop completely cloud your knowledge. It's almost like being drunk or asleep. You technically know that staying up until 3 a.m. scrolling is going to ruin your exam tomorrow, but the physical craving just overrides the rational brain. The real boss you're fighting here, it's your own uncontrolled cravings.
Which means we need level 5, unlocking co-op mode.
If you want to defeat Akrasia, you're going to need some backup. Aristotle insists that absolutely no one would choose to play this game entirely solo, even if they had all the gold and items in the world. He breaks down friendship into 3 very specific tiers. Tier 1 is utility. Think of your science class partner. You're friends because of mutual convenience, and the moment the class ends, the friendship naturally dissolves. Tier 2 is pleasure. This is your gaming squad or your rec league teammates. You share a hobby, but if your interests change, the connection fades because there's nothing deeper holding it together. But Tier 3? That is the gold standard, friendship of character. This is based on deep mutual respect. You genuinely want your friend to flourish, for their sake, not for what you can get out of them. These are rare, they take massive amounts of time to build, but they last a lifetime because they're built on solid virtue.
But Aristotle drops a major truth bomb right here. True friendship is actually just an extension of healthy self-love. You absolutely must have your own mind in order first. If you hate yourself, if you constantly beat yourself up, or if you're just at war with your own conscience all the time, you cannot be a solid rock for your crew. You'll just project your insecurities or become totally codependent. A virtuous player actually enjoys their own company and has internal harmony. It's only by loving your own character first that you can offer genuine, unselfish love to your friends and really amplify the good in each other.
And finally, level 6, reaching the highest level. So, we've leveled up our character, we've mastered the social vibes, defeated our inner boss, and built an elite co-op squad. What is at the very top of the mountain? Well, Aristotle concludes that the absolute pinnacle of human functioning is theoria, contemplation. It's the pure joy of understanding. It's quiet, focused thinking about the deepest, most beautiful truths of the universe. Imagine staring up at a starry sky and genuinely grasping the vastness of the cosmos. It's incredible. But Aristotle is also really realistic. We aren't gods. We're humans who have rent to pay and communities to support. So winning the game actually requires a dual approach. You need that quiet time to unplug and think deeply, absolutely. But it has to be matched with active living, practicing courage, temperance, and justice out in the real world with your community.
Aristotle's 2,400-year-old guide isn't meant to just be passively watched on a screen. It is a game you actively have to play. You literally build your own eudaimonia, choice by choice.
Please like and subscribe.